My name is Michael Ping, and I have a speech to give tonight about ritual abuse, about child abduction, about cover-ups, about high-ranking satanic priests that abduct children and murder them, that have been operating inside the United States for a period of at least 40 years, based on newspaper clippings from different time periods and articles from different time periods that are created by reputable media sources. And I need to say that I am a victim of ritual abuse, and I do have evidence that supports that conclusion. That is photographic evidence. And that... What's up, John? Giving a speech? I'm just filming the spider here. Kind of threw me off there, sorry.
Hey, take my fucking number down.
Sorry, my bad. I was just filming the spider. Shit. I'll film this spider.
Get the spider, we'll lose the number.
Sorry, my bad.
Sit down. Sit.
Anyways, as I was saying, the ritual abuse.
Sit. Harley.
I'm gonna relocate to give this speech, I guess. Sorry about that. I'm just giving a little speech.
Sit.
Anyways, back to what I was saying. A very serious issue that I have discovered that took place in this world, and I'm going to tell my story as quick as I can about what happened to me. I was a molestation victim as a child, and I was ritually abused by a satanic... I don't want to say satanic because I've studied the rules of Satanism, and the rules of Satanism don't... they don't include the things that I've seen, and I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the serious issue here. The real issue that I've found out about, that a web was placed over me by the perpetrators of these acts. Now, there's the McMartin preschool case. There's the Franklin child abuse cover-up case. Well, if somebody's covering up missing children's cases, then there's obviously an underlying problem that comes from missing children. Somebody doesn't want to know that children are going missing, and the purpose for that is to cover up the fact that it's a crime that they went missing. And the important issue is basically there are groups of people in the world that practice torture that are beyond the average forms of torture. They're beyond any type of human rights. It's basically the polar opposite of human rights, which are... I'll give you an example of some of the experiments that have been performed in underground bases inside the United States and out in space and other places. And I've obtained this intelligence through a means of researching the topic of ritual abuse. The topic of ritual abuse is basically something that people usually don't pay much attention to. It's not been talked about on ABC, it's not been talked about on CNN, it's not been talked about on MSNBC, it's not been in Yahoo News, it's not been in Google News, it's not been in news. and it needs to be in the news. Because ritual abuse is a real thing, and I experienced it. And I'm going to identify every single tactic that the perpetrator used against me to cover up the ritual abuse that they performed on me. The perpetrator tried to turn me against my family. The perpetrator tried to turn me against my friends. The perpetrator used people by ritually abusing them and mind controlling them, and used those people to steal resources from me anonymously. So somebody put together an operation that affected my life, and I can prove it. This is the thing. I have solid physical proof of what I've seen. I've filmed, I've documented this the entire time that it's taken place. And I'm going to make this video to ask the media to look into ritual abuse, to look into torture of human beings, and take it as a more serious issue than it's been being taken as in the past. Because the types of tortures and experiments I'm talking about aren't the average types of experiments that people are used to believing take place. World War II, Nazi, placing Jews inside of a freezing tank until they died, just to see how long somebody would survive in freezing water. There's absolutely no purpose in that experiment. There's no intelligence to be gained from that, because you can use genetic engineering to take genes from an Arctic fish and infuse those genes into the human genome, injecting, basically coming in and modifying genes. You can use technology to do that, and you can perform your own research on Google too. Need a lighter? Hold on, bro. You can use genetic engineering to make yourself immune to cold. Genetic engineering was discovered and was being practiced by the Nazis, according to a documentary that I saw, and you can look that up as well. But the main point I'm trying to make is that there is an underground crisis taking place in this world, and the crisis is ritual abuse. The crisis is missing children. It's an ignored crisis. Nobody really cares about it. I know that nobody really cares about it because it's never in the media. It's never on ABC News. It's never on 2020. It's never on any of these big talk shows like Montel, even though Montel doesn't have a talk show anymore. He should have had something like this on his show. Jerry Springer should have shit like this on his show, because it's got the most drama and the most messed up things. And it would be healthy for prisoners to appear on that show, because then they could tell their sides of the stories. The people who are afraid to get caught and who are afraid to go to prison. Because prison's not really a bad thing if you can get out on parole. That's the purpose of the criminal justice system, is to... They're not planning on calling the cops on me, are they? Okay. I'll sit over here and do it now. Sorry, I found an original spot to do the speech, but something interrupted me from that for some reason. Either way. Ritual abuse. Back to the main focus of my original point making this video. I'm going to ask anyone that watches this video to do their very best at making it viral, to copy it to a memory card, and then remove that memory card from your computer and store it in an area that is immune to Metal Gear Solid memory card destroying techniques. If anyone actually watches this video and agrees with it, please make it viral. Get it on the front page of Reddit. Get it everywhere. Get it as many places as you can, because it's an important issue. Ritual abuse, torture, child mutilation, human experimentation is an issue that's been ignored for a long time. And I mean, it's been ignored and censored for a very long time. This issue, and I don't want to become famous off this issue. I don't even care if somebody else gives the speech and takes credit for it. That's not what this is about. I don't care. I want to make sure these people aren't calling the cops on me for giving this speech. Oh, sorry, man. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and take off walking to finish this speech, because there's people acting really strange over there. They're telling me to take off, or they're telling me to go in the house. So, I'm not really sure what's going on. I think the people that might be calling the cops on me for giving that speech, I don't know. I guess there's a couple over there. And, alright, I'm gonna get back to my serious mode here. This is taking longer than I thought. I wanted to keep this video under 10 minutes, because I could have compressed it all into 10 minutes. But ritual abuse is a process by which a warlord, and by warlord I mean a highly advanced cleric from a group that's got a lot of power, a very powerful individual basically who knows how to use these advanced techniques. And I don't want to reveal them to the world, but if they're being used for evil, then I have to reveal them, because it's my duty to do that as a citizen. And I have done things in the past that I regret, but I'll get to that later. I am a ritual abuse victim. The person who ritually abused me molested me when I was a child in an area where the colors blue and black were present whenever I was a toddler, before my growth and development was complete. On top of that, excuse me, lost my train of thought. I'm out of smokes. I seem to think better when I smoke. But either way, ritual abuse. Ritual abuse is the number one way that somebody could be framed, but framed in a way that nobody could detect. And I know exactly how it was done. And I can explain it. And I'm not wasting someone's time by explaining it. I'm telling the truth about something that this species needs to know about. The entire human species needs to make sure that they're aware of ritual abuse. What it is, what ritual abuse is, I'll explain it. Back to my story. I got molested whenever I was a toddler, and I was shown pornographic videos whenever I was a toddler by somebody. And I don't even remember who the person was, because I believe I was giving a memory erasing substance. Whoever did this did it intentionally. I don't have a PhD in psychology, but I have studied psychology to the point where I understand it nearly fully. In Morrowind terms, the The skill's probably about 70%. So I'm pretty damn good at psychology, if I do say so myself. And I understand my own psychology. That's how I've reverse engineered the situation. But the main thing that people are going to say to disprove me is simply this. They're going to say that I'm mentally unstable, they're going to say that I'm delusional, and they're going to say that this case doesn't exist and that it's not real. And I know that because I'm predicting what people are going to do after the truth gets out that they don't want to get out. Somebody doesn't want that truth to get out. So, that being said, the people who don't want the truth of this case to get out are going to try to stop it from getting out. And they're going to try to say that the photographs are the same person, but I performed a forensic analysis and I had somebody I know perform a forensic analysis who was actually certified but preferred to remain anonymous. This individual preferred to remain anonymous, and I understood why. Because he was afraid, he knew what was going on, and he was afraid to reveal his identity. So, somebody looked at this who was certified to look at it, who was a professional. I have one professional opinion as of right now that I can verify from a person who has credibility that this case is real. But there are people saying that this case is not real. And I've even heard rumors of people having their genetics altered to, omit that for sure. People being replaced with twins. I've heard of people cloning an entire family of twins and then using them to perform ritual abuse, like murdering one twin, and then murdering the other twin, and then murdering the other twin, and then replacing all those 3 twins with one person, who was the original one that was intended to survive. Well, basically, this is one of the most serious speeches of the 21st century because it's a concept that can't be ignored. And there really is a giant militant. And when I say militant, I'll explain that to you. You can look on the internet, go to Google, type in MK Ultra, voice to skull projection. There are devices that can literally make people hear voices in their skull. And these devices can be purchased on the black market by just about anybody. And they can, if I wanted, okay, I'll give you an example. There's a woman that I really like, that I just really like, okay, and I would never do this, because that's not the type of person I am. But, walking by a school right now. Walking by a school. Used to go to that school, love that school, miss that school. Used to play on the playground equipment at that school. Damn it, those were the good old golden days. Anyways, back to my original point. Ritual abuse. Clones. Killing of clones. Okay, let's say that, for an example, somebody had a son that they wanted to sacrifice in the future. Or somebody had, there's all kinds of crazy-ass people out there. There's no telling what they would do with this kind of knowledge. But it's already being used on a wide-scale criminal basis. So, Basically, what I'm saying is there's people in this country that are having twins. They're having like 4 or 5, even sometimes more, either cloned kids that they've cloned to those kids, or twins that they've created, and they'll sometimes use them to assassinate people inside of a family. And there was a Nazi, not a Nazi, but there was a doctor who reprogrammed a woman's memories in 2 months. Completely reprogrammed her. So, programming of a clone or a person or a twin is totally possible. Brainwashing's been around since World War I, if I do believe correctly about that. But basically, I just need to make sure that anyone listening to this, if you could make it viral, it will change the world in a positive way. This viral video will change the world in a positive way. And I'd prefer to remain anonymous. I mean, so I won't reveal my name in this video, because I don't want anybody to know who I was that made it. Because I know of the profound change that it will cause to take place in this world, and it'll be a positive change. It'll be a change that will result in the happiness of many individuals. So, I'll tell you, ritual abuse does happen. I'll explain the facts of ritual abuse. A lot of frogs out tonight. I'll explain the process of ritual abuse. Okay, a really wealthy pedophile, let's just say, for instance, somebody who's got a lot of money, somebody who likes to purchase children off the black market, somebody who likes to abuse those children, somebody who likes to ritually abuse people so they can sacrifice them when they're adults. Like, back to my story. My story is basically, I got abused when I was a kid by somebody sexually, and that person abused me in a location that was blue and black, and I was 4 years old, and it trauma bonded me to the color blue and black because I was getting molested by somebody. And I didn't consent to it at first. I repeatedly refused it. And the person who did it asked me to play a game called Dickies. Well, somebody created a trigger to Dickies, and they created a subliminal control trigger to the color blue and black to remind me of when I got molested. But they made it to where I compartmentalized those memories. I didn't remember that until I was 25 years old. And when I remembered that, I basically, what happened is I stored the memory. I compartmentalized the memory, which means it was in my subconscious mind, but it wasn't in my conscious mind. And I couldn't consciously access the memory because I compartmentalized it, because it was traumatic. And I didn't want to remember it because it hurt me, because I was ashamed of being, molested. It's embarrassing. People don't want to know it. It's not something you want to talk about typically. It's usually just talked about on talk shows. Well, either way, what I'm saying is I'm a victim of ritual abuse. Somebody programmed me as a child to be trauma bonded to the word Dickies and to the colors of black and blue. Now, that being said, whenever I grew up, I forgot all about it, and I didn't remember it my entire life. Well, I got married to a very awesome person that I have absolutely nothing against, who I've left alone ever since we've split up. I've left her alone. I've never stalked her. I've never bothered her. Because I respect her. And that's the kind of guy I am. I would never hurt my ex. There's a lot of violent men out in this world that would hurt their ex. There's a lot of violent men out in this world that would not only hurt their ex, but, look for revenge, slice tires, bust out windows, break in their grandma's house and steal their favorite diamond collection or whatever and then go sell it at the pawn shop, but make it to where nobody could prove they did it. Those kind of people. That's who I'm talking about. The people that do that shit. Well, ritual abuse is basically, I'll get back to my story. I'm going to tell my story fully through now. And now that I've said what I've said, you'll see. It's got a twist at the end that you wouldn't expect about a guy like me. But there's a reason for that. But anyways, back to my original purpose here. I was molested as a kid, got trauma bonded to the colors blue and black, got trauma bonded to the word Dickies, and there's a clothing company called Dickies. So somebody did that on purpose because they knew there was a clothing company called Dickies. Because whoever did this to me planned it out when I was a kid. Now you gotta understand this. That's what these people do, and they want to sacrifice somebody of a certain age. They have to frame them by hacking their mind, by inserting a virus into them when they're a child, so that that virus gets stored in their subconscious mind and alters their behavior in the future. Well, I got married to this really awesome chick, and we were doing real good, and then all of a sudden, I realized that somebody had installed addictions into some people that were close to us. And those addictions resulted in me obtaining an addiction, because the people who were addicted needed to buy more stuff because of how addicted they were. So, anyways, I don't want to go into that whole thing. I got psychological brain damage from it. And I wrote all these speeches and horrible things online, like experiments and stuff that are going on. I started researching those and writing about those. And, basically, during the marriage, I was driven crazy. I was literally driven crazy, and I was temporarily insane. But I wasn't violent. I was never violent towards Sarah. I'm sorry, not Sarah. I was never violent towards Marlene, the girl I was dating at the time. Not from the town I'm from. But, yeah. Anyways, I was driven crazy in the marriage. Well, somebody brings over... I'm withdrawing off of a pill called Xanax. I'd been taking the pill for 1 year. And I was withdrawing off that pill. And I was dealing with people stealing from me. People coming in the house whenever I was doing dishes. Coming in the house saying that they'd want to do the dishes and then go back and steal $500 out of my drawer. Little things like that. That's what I was dealing with. A lot of stress. And the blue and black color triggers were displayed to me again without my knowledge. Because I still hadn't decompartmentalized the memory. So I still didn't know that control node was installed in my brain. And this person brought an animal over, and I abused that animal while I was temporarily insane from the medication that I was given. I had been driven temporarily insane, and I had been spun up intentionally by people who wanted me to do what happened whenever I was in that in that room with that dog, I basically was abusive towards the dog. Well, they filmed it and they blackmailed me off of it, which it wasn't right for me to abuse the animal, no, by any means. I've never been abusive towards animals, and I've owned several animals that I've never abused before. Basically, Xanax does cause violence. Literally, you can look it up. Xanax causes violence. Xanax withdrawal. The withdrawal symptoms cause violence. They cause aggressiveness, and they cause violence. And I felt so ashamed about it that I confessed it publicly. And, I don't know how many people's actually read that stuff that I've posted. But I'm embarrassed and ashamed of myself. And I admitted it publicly because I wanted people to know it happened, because I wanted people to know why it happened. Because of ritual abuse. Somebody molested me when I was a kid, installed those subliminal hooks inside my mind, and then pulled on those hooks while I was in a state of temporary insanity. Somebody orchestrated that, because I had even asked the person who brought the animal over. I actually told that person, and I was living in the residence at this time. Therefore, I had the ability to say, that animal's going to stay here, that animal's not going to stay here. Well, I chose to decide for that animal not to stay here at the house. And I said, please get her out of here. Please get that dog out of here. Please get Babe out of here. That was the dog's name that I abused. The dog's name was Babe. But, basically, I am a ritual abuse victim, and there is somebody with a lot of power who is tightening the ropes around my permanent imprisonment, basically. And I'll explain what that means here in just about 2 seconds. What it means is that somebody put a plan together to sacrifice me in the future when I was a kid and ritually abused me, and then blackmailed me and used the blackmail that they created through ritual abuse to run a smear campaign against me and get a bunch of people to want to sacrifice me. And they did it very, very, very well. They did it so well that the people that want to sacrifice me have already decided that they're not going to listen to anything I say. They've already decided that I must be sacrificed. And there's nothing I can say to talk my way out of it. And I'm not trying to talk my way out of it. I plan on punishing myself brutally in the future. I have my own training techniques for martial arts. Most people probably would never do them, such as inserting hand into boiling water, among other things that are considered wrong, but if you train enough, you can actually do it. And people that are into martial arts know what I'm talking about. If you train long enough, you can stick your hand in a pot of boiling water, and you will sustain it without any third-degree burns. But yeah, ritual abuse, very important message. I legally can't say Fox News Alert and use that, so I'm gonna say, this is a global alert. This is a global emergency transmission that I'm sending out here, because there's literally thousands of people a year that are getting sacrificed and tortured, and nobody fucking knows about it. And it is true, and you can look it up on Google. It is true. There's thousands of people. And the kind of experiments that are being done on these people, they're not only horrible, they're not only atrocious, they're not only fucking... You can't use a word in the English language to describe it. Now I'm going to go ahead and tell you about one of the experiments. these 10 men were placed into a room. A nerve gas was emitted into the room that prevented them from sleeping. 14 days later, a guy, the only survivor, because there was 10 people at first. Now, these facts aren't absolutely accurate, but that's what the experiment really was. That experiment really happened. It may not have been 10 guys, it may have been 8 or something like that. So you'll have to look it up and watch it to really know what I'm talking about. But anyways, these guys were placed in this chamber. All that fucking nerve gas was emitted, and the people in the chamber killed themselves. Each one of them mutilated themselves, ripped out their intestines, ate each other, cannibalism, and at the end, there was only one guy left. And that one guy ripped his own jaw off, and his skin was completely white. Not peach, his skin was white, and it was baggy. And you can see the picture. It's called the Russian sleep experiment. You'll see it on YouTube if you look it up. Well, that's just the beginning. There are a bunch of Nazi scientists that existed and survived after World War II, and they implanted themselves inside of North America, in both Canada and the United States. Yeah, Canada and the United States. And these fucking people perform experiments that are placing people in a chamber, making somebody immortal, making it to where they can't die, placing them in a chamber, and letting them sit in that chamber for periods of time that exceed a lifetime. One human lifetime is, one human lifetime is anywhere from 80 to 100 years, typically. If you get cancer or something, maybe it'd be like 40 or 50, or younger, sadly. Which that's a whole other fucking ball game right there. The cancer conspiracy. People have to look into that. Because, a conspiracy isn't a negative thing. As most people think whenever they hear the word conspiracy, they're like, oh my god, it's a conspiracy, it's from nutcakes, I don't want to hear about it, it's from fucking loony, nutty people that don't know what they're talking about, and I can't believe anything it is. Well, looking at the conspiracy, all a conspiracy is a series of facts that point towards the opposite of a conclusion that was already drawn by somebody else. So a conspiracy is a theory. There's really no difference between a conspiracy and a theory. So, anyways, back to what I was saying. Ritual abuse, cloning, kids getting abducted, certain members of the family who basically, I don't know how to explain it. Certain members of the family are selected to be sacrificed as children, and certain ones are selected to be sacrificed as adults. And the way that they get that to happen is they find a way to blackmail them. They find a way to blackmail people that they want to assassinate or they want to sacrifice. And then they use that to rally up, to rally the state police, to rally local police, to rally biker gangs, to rally college sororities, to rally supermodels, and all these other, they send out like a viral command, basically, that rallies all these people. And what that does is it causes basically, whoever all that smear campaign is about, whoever spread all those rumors, has basically initiated a sacrifice on somebody. So, let's say that Joe wants to sacrifice Bob, who lives next door to him. Well, what he's going to do is he's going to go over to Bob's house. He's going to install a little tape recorder underneath his bed and hide it in there, and he's going to play messages every night to Bob while he's sleeping. And then he's going to get Bob to do something. Like, he can select whatever he wants Bob to do by using subliminal brainwashing. Subliminal brainwashing and conventional brainwashing are two different things. Subliminal brainwashing is a real technique that can be used on people. And, okay. Anyways, back to what I was saying. I have been spending the last 2 years of my life, actually, I've spent pretty well the last 3 years of my life devoting myself to fighting the I don't want to call it an infestation. It's a group of individuals who need to be rehabilitated. Because I don't wish anything bad on them. I want them to be rehabilitated. Because that's the whole point of the justice system, is to rehabilitate people. So that they can reintegrate into society. And you know, some people agree with the death sentence. I agree with it, but only under very extreme circumstances. Like if somebody takes over a country and performs a genocide, then they would be either A, permanently imprisoned, or B, killed. But those are just my views. Ritual abuse, though. I keep saying that over and over again. Well, what it means is that there are evil-ass people in this world that have a lot of money. They can make clones. Some people use it for good. Some people use it for evil. Anyways, what I was gonna say, I just got complimented here from someone that I don't know who it was, strangely, but anyways, whenever somebody fights evil, they get positive energy. Cops know what I'm talking about. Military knows what I'm talking about. Because when you fight evil people, you get this energy. And, people can sense that energy too, I think. I don't know. Maybe it's just a theory. Either way, ritual abuse is a process by which someone can be programmed subconsciously to perform a specific behavior by an individual utilizing the subconscious brainwashing tactic. And that's what was done to me. I was molested when I was a kid. Somebody molested me in an area where I basically grew up, but the area had blue and black on the area. And then somebody brought a dog over in a blue and black dog leash while I was withdrawing from Xanax, and caused me to commit animal abuse. And then blackmailed me for that, and wanted people to kill me based on that. Well, at the very end of the situation, I found out about these pictures of a possible child laundering case. And that child laundering case that I found out about involves identity theft, switching of children, possible murder, even possible torture of a human being. Or multiple human beings. And I'm suggesting that somebody could have, according to the evidence that I have on file, I have this evidence is on record. These individuals that perpetrated this are a member of a sadistic murder cult. Now, I don't have anything against people that like torture, but I do have something against people that would take a person and put them in a tank and turn them into a fish and put them in a tank, or, turn someone into a human centipede or something like that. Something that's just over the edge. Human rights violation to the fucking, to the extreme, basically. This speech is going a lot longer than I thought, But I really want to ask people, please make this speech viral. If you make this speech viral, it will literally change the future of the human race. It'll change the human species' future. And everything I'm saying is the truth. And I do plan on distributing copies of this video via a means that I'm not going to discuss at this time. I've developed a means of... I better not say anymore. Anyways, this video will change the future. Whether you're male, whether you're female, whether you're fat, whether you're skinny, whether you're... basically, it doesn't really matter what nationality you are. It doesn't really matter what religion you are. It doesn't really matter what gang you belong to. It's a unification fucking spirit bomb. That's what it is. That's what this video is. It's basically a spirit bomb that I would like to go viral. And I would like people to see this because of how important this is. And you know, people are going to want to see it because in the video, a guy admits to abusing animals. So, I'm trying to change the future back from the hands of evil. I'm trying to take the hands of evil off of our future, off of our human species' future here. I don't want to reveal my name, of course. I'd like to remain anonymous, but I want to remove the hands of evil off of our future, off of the future of all sentient life, off of the future of humanity, so that we can have a future without super sadistic evil taking place, like turning somebody into a walrus, or turning somebody into a human centipede, or trapping somebody in a tank, making them immortal, trapping them in the tank, and fucking seeing what they turn into. I mean, imagine how tormented that consciousness is going to be. It's going to be so tormented that it's going to do things that... well, I don't know how to explain it. It's basically it's worse than anything I've ever seen in Hollywood. What I just said is worse, a worse fate than anything I've ever seen in Hollywood. I've seen it only in the Bible. Eternal torture. Because that's what that would be. That would be the 9th layer of hell. You know, getting put somewhere for a prolonged period of time just to see what you turn into. If, like, someone turns you into a fish or something crazy, like some crazy Nazi doctor abducts you, takes you up to Canada, and turns you into a fucking fish, and puts you in this tank, and fills the tank up with a substance that makes it to where you can't die. That's the kind of experiments that are taking place on this planet, in underground bases. And you can look this up, it's been verified. Human experimentation and torture does occur on the Earth in underground bases. And the people perpetrating these tortures, they're not doing it for the greater good. There is no greater good purpose for it. And I mean literally, there's not. Putting someone somewhere for the rest of time is, well, it is something that should never be done to anything, no matter what they've done. Well, unless they've done something like that to something else. An eye for an eye, of course, as I've always been a firm believer in. But, yeah, I lost a kid because I was driven temporarily insane, because I was injected with psychoactive substances by another individual who may not have been aware of how it was going to affect me. So I don't blame him. I don't hold anything against him. I don't hold anything against the people that caused this, because they may not have known that they were causing it. It was part of the ritual. That's how these people carry out their rituals. They carry out their rituals through minions, as to make it undetectable. So, someone attacked me. I won't reveal my identity. But I will say this speech needs to go viral. It needs to go viral. It needs to be on ABC News. This topic needs to be on ABC News. It needs to be on CNN. It needs to be on all the major media outlets because it's a big problem in this world and it's kept secret. That's what really sucks about it. It's kept totally secret. Which is the worst fucking thing because all these dead people, all these people that got killed, nobody knows they got killed. And that's the worst part about it, is that nobody will ever know they were killed. Nobody will ever come back and get them. Nobody will ever be able to time travel back and save them. Stuff like that. You know, resurrect the dead. That makes them where they're unable to be resurrected. Which I find offensive. You know, because I believe one day there will be a resurrection of the dead. But, I need to basically make my point about this very, very, very clear. There is a group of people on the planet who are practicing ritual abuse, who clone people, kill them, and, like, let's say that there's a doctor, a Nazi doctor. He doesn't care about his kids. He doesn't care about his kids at all. And he clones 30 kids, and he kills each one of those kids except one of them. Yeah, he kills each one of those kids except one of them. Well, that child's mind that had all those other people that he knew killed is going to be completely damaged in a very bad way. It's going to be damaged to the point where that person's going to be schizophrenic. And then use that person as a sacrifice. And what I mean by this is having one person live in society and make clones of that person, and then torture the clones of that person in order to make that person schizophrenic by damaging the DNA that person's made out of remotely. So, very advanced concepts here used in ritual abuse. It's actually a military problem. It's not the local police forces can handle it, but they have to be educated about what it is. And ritual abuse is a real thing. My situation is a bunch of people want to hurt me. You know, they want to whoop my ass and stuff. Maybe even go as far as sacrifice me because I abused an animal. But here's the key of the situation. I was ritually abused, subconsciously programmed to take those actions. And whenever I was withdrawing off Xanax and going through a divorce, I was very, very full of anger. And Xanax withdrawal causes violence. It causes aggressiveness in males. Therefore, I was temporarily insane. A dog was placed inside the house I was in. And I asked that dog to be removed for several days before the abuse occurred. Therefore, I am not guilty, and there is an entire can of worms underneath me that needs to be opened up. I would like to ask for a professional investigation of a set of photographs that I found by a forensic analyst, or multiple forensic analysts, to cross-check, to see what everyone thinks. Because I'm pretty sure I found out about a ritual abuse case. And I'm pretty sure that the people that pulled it off have convinced everyone that I am the bad guy by either A, sharing a video of me abusing the animal, or B, telling people about me abusing the animal and saying that an animal is the same thing as a child and that I deserve to be killed or sacrificed. Even though somebody programmed me when I was a child using ritual abuse to commit the act so they could frame me in the future. And there are people that can do that. High-ranking satanic priests who have violated the codes of Satanism and go on renegades. They get a bloodlust and they go out on basically renegades on quests, on crusades to just be as violent and mean as evil as they can, just because they can. You know, a satanic priest who goes crazy, basically, knows all these advanced mind control techniques and wants to sacrifice somebody. And they do the sacrifice for a reason, so they can gain more followers. Because if you blame somebody for what you did and help to prosecute them, then it positively reinforces your position in society, which does create a effect on the general population. Like, let's say that Andy lives in this house, Bob lives in this house, Bob wants to sacrifice Andy. Okay, well, what Bob's going to do is he's going to he's going to basically I guess I'm going to go buy a pack of cigarettes. Okay, Bob and Andy. Bob wants to sacrifice Andy. Okay, what's he going to do? He's going to sacrifice Andy. He's going to go in there, put a tape recorder behind his bed, play music, and brainwash the guy for 6 months or however it takes, basically, and teach him to, okay, go murder somebody. That's what the tape will say over and over again. And subliminal brainwashing, it's the same thing. Well, somebody will sneak in and do that, playing that message over and over again, and that guy will be brainwashed. He'll be brainwashed, and he'll do what he was programmed to do subconsciously. So the subconscious is how people are programmed to do things without remembering it. But that's the perfect way to frame somebody, see, because the cops are never going to believe it. The cops are never going to believe something like that unless you can prove it, unless you find the tape recorder that was playing the messages, and then catch the person who put it in there on camera or something like that. Well, basically what I'm saying is this. Ritual abuse is a national emergency. It really is. It's an epidemic. It's an emergency. It's an epidemic. And the internet already contains articles. Google already contains a ton of articles about this subject and this concept. Well, basically, what I'm saying is this video needs to go viral. Now, knowing about these experiments really pisses me off. Knowing about a fucking Nazi scientist who's going to come up and abduct a kid from a small town and replace him with a clone and take the other one and take him out somewhere and turn him into a fucking fish or something and take him away from his friends and family and take him away from everybody he loves. That really upsets me. That's not cool. In fact, that makes me so angry that I would like to scream. Because it's wrong, it's horrible, it's evil, it's a child. A child doesn't deserve that. That is illegal, and it's also a war crime. Because the doctor's using military medical technology in order to pull this stunt off. He's genetically engineering, mutating somebody. I'm going to go ahead and end this transmission with this statement. I need this speech to go viral. If this speech goes viral, it will change the history of the United States. It will change the history of the world. So please make this speech viral, regardless of your race, religion.
Welcome to Casey's Book 5 is ready. We'll see you inside when you're finished. How can I help you?
Hi, I need a pack of Newport Short Reds, please.
Get it off for you.
Please and thank you.
Birthday, please.
22089.
632.
Okay. Whoops. Put the money back in my pocket instead of giving it to you. How's it going, man?
Good. 13. $13.70.
Thank you.
Have a good
You too. Yeah, and people are going to say that I'm going to trying to talk my way out of what I did, but I'm really not. I'm exposing a criminal technique that somebody used against me. And I would like to say that I've already distributed copies of the speech that I gave in this video. I memorized the speech. Well, I didn't memorize it. I had a couple notes in my pocket. But, anyways, people are going to say that I deserve to be sacrificed. And I know that. And I've already distributed copies of this speech to people, and they're anonymous, and they already know what I said. So whenever I put it up on the internet, and if it's not what I said, people are going to know that that's not what I said, and they're going to know that somebody came in and hacked the goddamn video. So I just want to warn people that are technologically savvy enough to do something like that, or any other type of manipulation. I've also found ways. Well, I don't really want to say anything else, because I know there's more advanced manipulation techniques than that to trick people and brainwash them and shit in the 21st century with all this fucking technology. Technology is basically God now, you know. If you have the right technology, you're God. But anyways, back to my original statement. I witnessed ritual abuse. I was ritually abused by somebody who wanted to frame me, who wanted to turn everybody in my life against me, and I don't know who it was. And I don't have anything against who it was. All I'm asking is whoever did this, please call off the sacrifice. Because I'm not a bad guy. I've always been good to animals. And what I did was wrong, and there is no excuse for it, except ritual abuse. Ritual abuse is literally the one thing that could be used to explain that. Mind control, brainwashing, that literally is the way that you could secretly frame somebody, because you frame them by hacking them. So, I'd like to make sure that this video goes viral. I'm not sure if the case I found out about is real. The pictures, it might be real, it appears to be real. All I was asking for was a forensic, a team of forensic scientists to take a look at it from different areas, from different departments and things like that, and do a cross-reference on it to see if it's actually real. Because I don't have a PhD. I can't determine whether or not it's real. But I'll tell you this. If it is real, somebody's got some splaining to do to the justice system. So, basically my point here is that ritual abuse is one of the most important things in this century. It's something that the media outlets need to fire phasers on. It's something the media outlets need to fire fucking proton torpedoes at, in Star Trek terms. Because it's a very dangerous thing, and it could alter the future forever. It could destroy the future of the species forever, to where it could never be fixed. So, basically, the speech was designed to end ritual abuse permanently for purposes of framing. Because what happened to me was somebody molested me when I was a kid. They put the subliminal messages in my mind. And I didn't remember it because I was a toddler. And then they got me real angry. They gave me a bunch of psychoactive drugs and put the animal inside the house with me. I asked the person to get the animal out of the house multiple times because I was feeling very like I wanted to be left alone. I didn't want any animals around. I just wanted to go sit in my room and be left alone. That's what I was wanting to do because of how I was feeling. Because I'm not a violent person, you know. Whenever I feel violent tendencies, I'll go do martial arts training. That's what I do. That's how I channel my energy. And I'm a terrible fighter. I couldn't fight my way out of a paper bag, and I'm not even kidding. Most guys in the world could probably whoop my ass. Okay, so I'm not a tough guy, but I am trying to report a problem to the entire world, to the entire universe, and basically, ritual abuse is very dangerous. People are cloning children, they're killing the clones, and then using that to torment certain individuals to assist in their assassinations, basically damaging somebody's mind in a way that can't be detected by conventional law enforcement techniques. That's what's really happening to me in my life, and I can verify that I have been harassed, and I can verify that I was stalked, and I can verify that my account was deleted off Facebook by an unknown individual. So I have had an encounter with an unknown individual who has been making changes in my life without my authorization, which means that I am a victim of stalking and harassment. And I also am a victim of ritual abuse. And somebody tried to blackmail me by setting me up to do what I did. By doing a ritual on me when I was a kid, then I abused the animal because of the ritual that they did when I was a kid, which was a molestation ritual. They trauma bonded me. They trauma bonded sex to the colors blue and black, and they trauma bonded sex to the color, or to the word Dickies, in my subconscious mind, but the memory was compartmentalized. So I didn't know that the memory was in there. I didn't know the command had been stored into my mind. And when I had been driven, whenever I was on those Xanax and I had increased aggressiveness and violent tendencies, which I've got snippets of that, and I've got copies of medical manuals that say that Xanax withdrawal causes those symptoms. That's why I committed animal abuse. And I admitted it. I admitted the abuse publicly to prove that I'm an honest man and to bring attention to the subject of ritual abuse. I'm going to go ahead and end the speech now. I just want to ask one more time, if people could please make this speech viral, you're going to save a lot of people's lives. You're going to save a lot of people's lives. Trust me. You really will. You'll make the world a better place. It'll make the universe a better place. Literally. It really will. Because it'll protect people from ritual abuse. And it'll protect the justice system from being hijacked. In transmission.